Now, on WISN 12 News.
A mysterious illness causing paralysis in kids across the country. Tonight, the case in Wisconsin and a father's warning, what he says parents need to watch out for.
The push for the pennant and playoff practice.
Are you concerned about the number of days off you have?
Next, the times released for both of the Brewers' home playoff games.
And a deer crash caught on camera. How a deer nearly took out a group of cyclists.
We start tonight on Weather Watch, and it does not feel like October. We had a record high of 84 degrees today.
Amazing, but the heat and humidity led to storms, Mark.
And some of those storms are still happening right now. Let's get a look at the Doppler 12 radar network right behind me here. You can see those thunderstorms still rolling through the area, although the majority of our area has quieted down, at least for now. A couple still hanging in northern Fond du Lac County, northern sections of Sheboygan County, moving out of Elkhart Lake as we speak. Bigger picture shows what is still to come. You see all the action out here still into Iowa, southwestern Wisconsin. That is along the cold front that'll gradually move in here. That is going to make a huge difference in our forecast. As you head out the door tomorrow, I think most of the morning is actually going to be dry, so you can squeeze out a little more time in the warm weather. Then the thunderstorms moving. It'll have more on that coming up.
Right now, the Gulf Coast is bracing for Hurricane Michael. Here's a live look at Gulf Shores, Alabama. You can see the wind there is already moving in. Mandatory evacuation orders are in effect in several states. We'll have much more coming up in just a few moments. Right now, our big story, a mysterious illness striking kids across the country is now here in Wisconsin. Doctors compare the symptoms to that of polio.
Nick Bohr reports from Madison, where a Wisconsin boy is still recovering after experiencing paralysis from this rare disease.
The then 8-year-old was rushed here to American Family Children's Hospital in Madison, the sudden illness robbing him of the use of his arms and legs. August McNall of Janesville is learning to adjust, still recovering after a mysterious illness struck 2 years ago.
I just couldn't move my hand. I tried to go use the bathroom, but I couldn't shut it with my right hand. My fingers were just sliding right off the door.
Got a call from the school saying that that August was in the medical room, that his arm felt funny and his hand wasn't working.
August deteriorated fast. He was rushed to American Family Children's Hospital in Madison and by then was already paralyzed in both arms and a leg. By morning, it was worse.
They called a emergency code and he was moved to the ICU, and he was then intubated with a tube down his throat to breathe, and he was being artificially ventilated. So that was in less than 24 hours.
He was hospitalized for 2 months and 2 years later still can't use his right hand. The diagnosis, acute flaccid myelitis, which is making news again with an upsurge in cases. It comes on suddenly about a week after what seems like a cold.
The paralysis, again, is that's very difficult to ignore. That would be very difficult, but don't even count maybe minor symptoms of uncoordination, muscle weakness that they can't explain. Things like that, especially, like I said, if you're 5 to 7 days after a cold.
The quick treatment made all the difference. August has returned to play soccer, even run a 5K, and hasn't lost his positive outlook.
I got lucky there. I was Lieutenant RA before this happened.
We know of at least one Wisconsin case of acute flaccid myelitis this year. A 6-year-old boy from Sheboygan was treated here at American Family Children's Hospital this summer. He still has paralysis in his neck and his arm. In Madison, Nick Bohr, WISN 12 News.
We first reported on this yesterday when this rare illness struck 6 children in Minnesota, and now concerns that AFM, acute flaccid myelitis, is growing. ABC News is reporting 3 new cases in Pittsburgh for a total of 38 cases in 16 states. Coming up in our next half hour, more on the symptoms parents should watch for.
Now to the Milwaukee Brewers' push for the pennant. The crew held practice at Miller Park tonight. The Brewers have some time off before their next playoff hurdle. Game 1 of the National League Championship Series against the LA Dodgers is 3 days away. And we learned this evening, first pitch will be at 7:09 Friday night. 12 News' Terry Sater was at practice at Miller Park.
The Brewers held their first practice before the NLCS starts here on Friday at Miller Park. That's right-hander Freddie Peralta on the mound right now. We talked to some of the players about facing the Dodgers. Are you concerned about the number of days off you have in between finishing up Sunday and coming in here on Friday?
You know, I don't think that's going to be too big of a concern. It gives us some time to rest and regroup.
We have fun together as a group, so we don't want to put too much pressure on ourselves and change the way we play the game of baseball, because the way we play the game of baseball is what's got us here. So we just got to continue to do what we've been doing and just stay solid in our foundation.
So the Brewers finished their first practice before the NLCS starts on Friday, and Craig Counsell says they're going to try to keep on doing what they've been doing, which is winning. At Miller Park, Terry Sater, WISN 12 News.
When the Brewers take on the Dodgers Friday night, they'll try for their 12th win in a row, and that means free food is at stake. George Webb has long promised that if the team wins 12 in a row, the restaurant will give away free burgers to fans. You're looking at video of the last giveaway back in 1987. We asked Brewers manager Craig Counsell about it.
I hope we're making George Webb hand out hamburgers. That's what I'd say. I think that's. I don't know if that's the motivating factor for Friday, but you know, if that's the result of a win on Friday, then we'll make a little trouble for George Webb.
If the Brewers win Friday night, George Webb Restaurant says they'll announce the day of the giveaway after the game.
Family and friends gathered tonight to remember a high schooler killed in a crash. Zion Lewis, an 18-year-old Vincent High School senior, died Saturday night. She rode in the back seat of a Mercury Sable, captured by cameras speeding down Teutonia. Just as it passed Silver Spring, the driver lost control. The car flipped, slamming into a wall. 6 people were inside the car, including Lewis's boyfriend.
He asked, they both, Zion and him, they asked, yelled, please stop, slow down, and she wouldn't.
The driver is in police custody and is expected to be charged. A police chase that started in Brown Deer ended in a rollover crash. Officers tried to use stop sticks last week to stop a stolen car, but the driver kept going. The chase wound through city streets, reaching speeds of up to 90 miles an hour. The car eventually crashed near Sherman and Custer in Milwaukee. One of the men crawled out and ran away. Police did arrest the remaining person inside.
Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh spent his first day on the bench. His first 2 cases involved the length of prison sentences for repeat offenders. Meanwhile, tonight, President Donald Trump delivered remarks at a campaign rally in Council Bluffs, Iowa. His speech largely centered on Kavanaugh's confirmation.
What the Democrats did to Brett and his beautiful family is a national embarrassment, a national disgrace.
Kavanaugh denies sexual misconduct allegations from his high school and college days. He is the president's second appointment to the Supreme Court. President Trump appointed Neil Gorsuch in 2017. The vice president will be in Wisconsin tomorrow. Vice President Mike Pence will campaign with Governor Scott Walker, stopping in Eau Claire and Green Bay. The governor is up for re-election on November 6th. Vice President Pence last campaigned in Wisconsin in August for U.S. Senate hopeful Leah Vukmir. Senator Bernie Sanders will be in Wisconsin later this month to campaign for Vukmir's opponent, U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin. The 2016 Democratic presidential candidate plans to visit 9 battleground states on behalf of Democratic candidates ahead of the November elections. Sanders will campaign with Baldwin in Milwaukee October 22nd.
Back now to Hurricane Michael. Right now, the Category 3 storm is packing winds gusting 120 miles an hour as it barrels toward the Gulf Coast. States of emergency are in effect. Elizabeth Herr reports from Panama City Beach.
Hurricane Michael intensifying in the Florida Panhandle, preparing for a monster storm.
This storm is dangerous, and if you don't follow warnings from officials, this storm could kill you.
Michael's power already on full display off the coast of Cuba. For hundreds of passengers on board the Empress of the Seas cruise ship, all safe but still in awe.
We battled 13 to 15 foot swells last night. There were heavy rains at point. There was lightning out in the distance.
The storm already leaving Central America devastated, killing more than a dozen in the region. Here in the U.S., most residents in Michael's path are heeding the warning from officials to be prepared. Stocking up on food and water while moving anything and everything out of harm's way.
I don't want to sink. I just hauled it back to Georgia and rebuilt the thing.
Across Florida, there are voluntary and mandatory evacuations, with officials stressing their concern is the storm surge.
The potential of 12 feet of storm surge in some areas is just deadly. You're not going to survive this. Don't take a chance.
Officials have said all day, if you have been ordered to evacuate and have not come tomorrow, it will be too late, calling the storm the most destructive in decades. Elizabeth Herr, ABC News, Panama City Beach, Florida.
And this may end up being one of the strongest hurricanes to ever hit the Florida Panhandle.
And Mark, Hurricane Michael continues to strengthen.
Very rapidly as well. We're talking winds at landfall tomorrow, probably 130 to 135 miles per hour. That's going to cause devastating damage. Yes, the storm surge is going to be horrible, especially in these areas, what is known as the Big Bend area of Florida. Very, very low-lying areas. All the water is going to get stuck in here, and it's just going to have nowhere to go. It is a massive hurricane and continues to strengthen. Again, we're at winds at 125 miles per hour, moving north at 12 miles per hour. It's expected to make a little northeastward turn, heading pretty much right towards Panama City Beach as a Category 4 at landfall. We'll have a lot more on this. And, of course, our forecast coming up in just a couple minutes.
We'll see you soon, Mark. When Taylor Swift talks, her fans listen.
The pop star's recent political stand and the impact it could have on the upcoming midterm elections. Coming up.
And is this a trick or a treat? A new brew that tastes like candy corn. The local brewery behind the creation.
And say it with me, I feel the need for speed. The first photos from the set of Top Gun 2.
And the video of the day. 4 pugs found running loose when they'll be up for adoption.
Tomorrow at 4, right before 12 News.
A deer hit by a car nearly takes out a group of cyclists.
We do want to warn you, the video you're about to see could be disturbing for some viewers. It shows the collision in Charlotte, North Carolina last week. A cyclist captured the crash on a camera mounted on his bike. A newspaper in Charlotte talked to that cyclist, who says it all happened in an instant and believes the deer likely died from the impact.
More wild video, this time out of Miami, Florida. Surveillance video shows a driver who ditched his Lamborghini after the car rear-ended a truck. The driver and passenger of the sports car got out and quickly jumped into a nearby Mercedes and took off. Police are looking for the pair tonight. The White House needs a new U.S. ambassador to the United Nations.
Ivanka Trump tweeted tonight it won't be her. Speculation turned to President Donald Trump's daughter after the surprise resignation of Nikki Haley and the president's comments that his daughter would be a good replacement. But Ivanka Trump tweeted tonight, I know that the president will nominate a formidable replacement. That replacement will not be me. Haley says she wants to take a break after 21 months on the job and prior years in state politics. She gave no further explanation for her departure.
I have given everything I've got these last 8 years, and I do think that sometimes it's good to rotate in other people who can put that same energy and power into it.
Haley says she'll serve through the end of the year. The president says he's considering many candidates to replace her and will announce a successor in 2 to 3 weeks.
Taylor Swift is getting political. The pop superstar posted on Instagram 2 days ago saying she cannot support the GOP Senate candidate in the state where she now lives, Tennessee. She also urged people to register for the midterm elections at vote.org. Now, according to that website's communications director, registration shot up by 100,000 to a total of 240,000 people after Swift's call to action. Swift has 112 million Instagram followers. Netflix released a sneak peek of the sequel to its popular Making a Murderer docuseries.
Everyone is talking about Making a Murderer and the trials of Stephen Avery.
It's not over.
Making a Murderer 2 follows the appeals of Stephen Avery and his nephew, Brendan Dassey. The Wisconsin men are both serving life sentences for killing Teresa Halbach in 2005 in Manitowoc County. The show will premiere on Netflix October 19th.
A grumble of pugs found wandering alone in a field. Those pugs are now heading to new homes. A grumble, by the way, is the word used for a group of pugs. Deputies found the dogs in the town of Grafton. An owner never came forward, so the Wisconsin Humane Society got them ready for adoption at the Ozaki campus. 2 of the pugs went home today. The other 2 are expected to be available for adoption later this week. They are adorable.
They're so cute.
Is it a trick or a treat?
Candy corn flavored beer. It's a unique new seasonal offering at West Alien Brewing in West Allis. The beer is based on a typical simple cream ale with malts and sugars with a house-made candy corn flavoring mixed in.
We're paying tribute to what we believe is an underrated Halloween confectionery that sets us a little bit aside from doing just a pumpkin beer or a seasonal spice beer.
The Candy Corn Cream Ale will be on tap at that brewery through the end of October.
It is different.
Got to give them points for creativity.
Sure.
All right, we have one more warm day in the forecast.
And we're going to go from using the air conditioner to turning on the furnace.
Very quickly as well. So that cold front comes through late tomorrow, and you're going to feel the differences in just a matter of about an hour. Temperatures will start tumbling. Just get ready. We still have one more warm day to go. That is tomorrow. Won't be as warm as today. The high temperature was 84 degrees. A record-breaking high temperature, beating the old record of 82 set way back in 1949. By Friday, the high temperature's in the 40s. So we go from hot to chilly. Yes, it will be from air conditioning to the furnace. 47 for the high. We're going to lows are going to be down in the 30s. A couple of beautiful pictures here from Gabriella. Love this. We've got a lot of great autumn color. It was nice to have some sunshine for a time. Don't expect to see much of that for tomorrow. There'll be a lot more sunshine, though, after that cold front moves in. It's just going to be jacket weather for sure. Another great shot here. This is a beauty. Look at the wonderful colors here. Starting to see more and more color around our area, even though it was so warm today. I love this one as well. It's Winnie the Pooh. Can you see him? Isn't that cool? Thanks, John. Appreciate you sending that in. All right, Doppler 12 after tomorrow. No 60s, no 70s, no 80s. It's going to be much more typical October weather moving in.
I was noticing those 30s on that forecast. All right, Mark. More on that mysterious illness hitting kids.
How it's growing with 38 cases in 16 states.
Big 12 Sports, presented by Menards.
Greg Hansel is not announced yet who his starting pitcher will be for Game 1 of the NLCS Friday at Miller Park against the Dodgers. The Brewers manager did admit his roster could include at least one more pitcher than he had at his disposal against Colorado. Now, the Brewers held an optional workout at Miller Park this afternoon, and although many of the key players were not in attendance, it did give some of the reserves a chance to shake off the rust. The Brewers faced the Dodgers 7 times this season, losing 4 of the games, including a 21-5 laugher in their last meeting on August 2nd at Dodger Stadium.
We rolled into both Dodgers series, and you know, we had to protect some pitching in 2 of the games, so we had position players throwing 2 of the games. It's a good team, and there were some good games in the 7 games we played, but it's you know, we know what to expect. We played them both in the second half, so that's not that long ago, and similar personnel on both sides, really.
They're a really good team. I think this is their 3rd or 4th year in a row being in the championship series here in the National League, and it's going to be a tough test, but you know, I think we'll be ready to go come Friday.
If the NLCS goes 6 games, then Game 6 will be in Milwaukee the same night as the first regular season Bucks game at Fiserv Forum. The Bucks continued their preseason tonight in Oklahoma City, and all 5 Milwaukee starters sat this one out. But the Delian Henson Lob Fest was in full swing tonight. Matthew Dellavedova with several assists on alley-oops to John Henson. First-round draft pick Dante DiVincenzo got the start. The rookie hits the corner 3 there. He scored 12 points. There are 4 players battling for one roster spot. Christian Wood is doing everything in his power to grab it. Wood continues his impressive preseason. 19 points, 15 rebounds. Final seconds of regulation. Bucks down 3. Tim Frazier forces overtime with the 3. But Milwaukee native Deonte Burton scored 10 points in overtime, and the Thunder wins 119-115. Now, the Bucks' final preseason game will be Friday night at Fiserv Forum against the Timberwolves, and it will be played at the same time as Game 1 of the NLCS at Miller Park.
Options for Wisconsin sports fans.
Not only that, the Admirals pushed back the start time of their home opener, which is Saturday. They pushed it from 6 to 7 because of Game 2 of the NLCS, which is at 3:09.
It is a fun position to be in, though, if you're a sports fan, to have all of this going on.
You bet.
All right, Dan, thank you. Bill Cosby's lawyers are trying to get a new trial.
SN 12 News at 10.
The Supreme Court term begins on the first Monday of October, but due to the partisan battle over his nomination, Brett Kavanaugh missed the first week of cases.
Well, now that he has been sworn in, the newest justice on the High Court is on the job. Here's ABC's Emily Rao.
Justice Brett Kavanaugh took his seat on the Supreme Court today, his bitter confirmation fight behind him. With his family in the courtroom, he heard his first oral arguments. The cases involved long sentences for repeat offenders. Neither case is especially controversial. Kavanaugh asked his first question about 15 minutes into the argument.
On the Supreme Court, I will seek to be a force for stability and unity. My goal is to be a great justice for all Americans.
As the junior justice, Kavanaugh is seated next to Justice Elena Kagan, who actually hired him to teach at Harvard. Kagan and the other 7 justices were present last night at Kavanaugh's ceremonial swearing-in ceremony at the White House. Despite the divided court with 5 conservatives and 4 liberals, the justices have a tradition of civility. Before taking their seats, each justice shakes the hand of every other justice. That's 72 handshakes.
The Supreme Court is a team of 9, and I will always be a team player on the team of 9.
And Kavanaugh made good on a promise he made during his confirmation hearings.
I'm proud that all 4 of my newly hired law clerks at the Supreme Court are women, a first in the history of the Supreme Court.
At the start of today's session, Chief Justice John Roberts made a brief statement welcoming Kavanaugh to the court. And while there were fierce protests during his confirmation hearings, there were no demonstrations today inside the court. Emily Rao, ABC News, Washington.
The Supreme Court could deal with issues regarding the Affordable Care Act, DACA and Dreamers legislation, and LGBTQ rights as early as this term. A new trial for Bill Cosby? His lawyers have filed a motion trying to get the comedian out of prison. A judge sentenced the 81-year-old last month to 3 to 10 years in a Pennsylvania prison for drugging and molesting a woman at his home in 2004. In the motion filed over the weekend, Cosby's lawyers asked the judge to modify the sentence so Cosby could be out on bail while he appeals his conviction. New information on that deadly limo crash in upstate New York. The limo that ran a stop sign and crashed Saturday, killing 20 people, flunked a state safety inspection just last month. The company's lawyer claims the issues had been corrected.
We are currently looking into the licensure of the driver, but in terms of the vehicle, we know that it had been inspected and passed.
State police formally identified each of the passengers today. They were 17 friends and family on their way to a brewery to attend a 30th birthday party.
Starbucks is sweetening the deal for employees, along with higher wages, sick leave for baristas, and paid parental leave. The company is now offering 10 subsidized backup care days for children or elders. The company is partnering with Care.com, a digital platform connecting caregivers with people who need them. Workers can choose to pay $1 an hour for in-home care or $5 a day for care at a center. Now back to Hurricane Michael. Red tide, the algae bloom killing fish and wildlife along Florida's Gulf Coast could get worse. According to one scientist, the heavy rain could cause more fertilizer runoff, which is often a fuel for the algae bloom. The hopeful situation is that the winds blow most of it offshore. Meanwhile, the Category 3 storm is still churning in the Gulf.
The storm surge is already causing problems for cities on Florida's west coast. This park in Sarasota flooded. Hurricane Michael is headed for Panama City on Florida's panhandle. Many businesses and homes are already boarded up and evacuated. 12 News Chief Meteorologist Mark Baden joins us now.
Mark, is it still looking like landfall tomorrow?
It does. Looks like it'll be probably mid-afternoon tomorrow, and it does look like it'll be near Panama City, and it's areas to the east that will get hit the hardest in terms of storm surge as well as the wind. So we're talking St. George Island, Apalachicola in here, and this is going to make its way. This is already the outer bands of Hurricane Michael, and you can see it already starting to move on shore a little bit, and it's only going to get worse. Likely to hit as a Category 4, again, making it one of the strongest, if not the strongest, hurricanes to ever hit the panhandle of Florida. It weakens some as it moves inland. It's still going to cause problems all the way through Tallahassee in here, and then into southern Georgia as well. The nice thing is, different from Florence in this, is it moves along. It doesn't stay in one location, so the rain and the flooding rain won't be as bad. The storm surge, though, is going to be atrocious. For our weather, pretty quiet. 70 degrees in the morning. Mostly cloudy skies. Might get some hours in the morning. You can actually get outside. Then the storms roll in the afternoon. That's a sign of things to come. That cold front moving in late in the day. Much, much colder. 30 degrees colder as we head into Thursday.
Local Red Cross volunteers are still helping people recover from Hurricane Florence in the Carolinas, an area that could get hit again. As WISN 12 News' Hillary Mintz tells us, more volunteers are headed to the new storm zone.
Hillary Mintz, WISN 12 News.
Milwaukee County is warning people of coyotes at County Grounds Park in Wauwatosa. The Parks Department is asking people walking their dogs to avoid this area just south of the park because of what officials call aggressive coyote behavior. And if you encounter a coyote, yell or make loud noises to scare them off. At least 4 people contracted Legionnaire's disease after staying at the upscale Osthoff Resort. 4 cases have been reported in the last 6 months. The bacterium was found in the men's restroom near an indoor pool and in a cooling tower at the resort in Elkhart Lake. According to the State Health Department, the source of the bacterium remains under investigation.
A mysterious illness leaving kids paralyzed. Earlier in the parking garage at Columbia St. Mary's Hospital in Milwaukee, a judge ordered James Dedrew to stand trial on charges of attempted first-degree intentional homicide and armed robbery. Investigators say Dedrew stabbed the 56-year-old woman 14 times with a knife before taking off with her purse in April.
To Commitment 2018 election coverage and the race for governor, Governor Scott Walker is taking his argument against raising the gas tax to voters at the gas pump.
Hi, it's Scott Walker. Good thing you're filling up, because if Tony Evers wins, he'll raise the gas tax by as much as $1 a gallon.
This ad began playing on TV screens at gas stations across the state. Meantime, the governor's challenger, Democrat Tony Evers, released a campaign ad today touting his plan to reduce the cost of prescription drugs.
That's why I'm voting for Tony Evers for governor. He brings me hope. He's got a good plan to lower healthcare and prescription drug costs. And he won't play politics with our healthcare like Scott Walker.
Election Day is 28 days away.
A rally towel, scarf, and Giannis bobblehead are among the Bucks giveaway items this season. The team is giving away a T-shirt and rally towel to all fans on the night of the home opener against the Pacers. That's October 19th. A camo cap will be given to fans on November 14th, a beanie on January 1st, a Chris Middleton youth jersey, that's on January 25th, and a Giannis bobblehead on April 10th against Oklahoma City. And it's a new record for the Milwaukee Bucks. They have sold 10,000 full season ticket memberships for the upcoming season. That's the most for one season in team history. 3,500 of those are new season ticket members. Also, the Bucks sold out all 34 luxury suites at Fiserv Forum. The first regular season game at the new arena is October 19th.
At tonight's American Music Awards, seen right here on WISN 12, Artist of the Year went to Taylor Swift.
This award and every single award given out tonight were voted on by the people, and you know what else is voted on by the people? Is the midterm elections on November 6th. Get out and vote. I love you guys.
Swift also opened the show with a performance of her song I Did Something Bad. Her win tonight broke the record for most wins by a female artist at the AMAs. And she's still in her 20s. She's accomplished so much.
She sure has.
The Need for Speed.
Tom Cruise is back in Top Gun, where he was spotted shooting the sequel.
And yes, this is real, where you can buy a 70s.
The Need for Speed. Tom Cruise spotted in San Diego shooting the sequel to Top Gun. The actor and film crew were seen at Naval Air Station North Island on Coronado Island Monday. More than 30 years later, the iconic aviator shades and pilot jacket are back for an encore. Fans who got a glimpse couldn't contain their excitement.
My daughter was just over here playing with friends, and she had texted me and said, wow, we just came home to Tom Cruise filming across the street. It's like part of the history here, and it'll be cool to see in the film places that I see here every day.
The title of the sequel will be Top Gun Maverick. It's expected to be released in June of 2020.
And he looks the same, doesn't he? 32 years later.
Yes, he does, suspiciously enough. Netflix is working on plans to open a production studio of its very own.
The company announced plans to buy Albuquerque Studios in New Mexico. According to Netflix, part of the agreement guarantees $1 billion worth of production will be shot over the next 10 years there. City and state leaders have pledged a combined $14.5 million in incentives to Netflix. The deal is expected to add up to 1,000 jobs per year in the state. Instagram is cracking down on cyberbullying. According to the company, new technology will proactively go after bullying and harassment on the social media platform. That includes images and captions that compare, rank, or rate a person in a negative way. Also, a bullying comment filter is being applied to live videos. The tool blocks offensive comments and removes spam.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame announced its nominees for the class of 2019. Def Leppard made the list for the first time, as well as Devo and Stevie Nicks. Repeat nominees include LL Cool J, Janet Jackson, and The Cure. The new class will be announced December 9th. Facial recognition is no longer just for humans. Norwegian farmers are using the technology to track their salmon. Each fish will have a medical record that's tracked over time in order to single out a fish that poses a threat to others. Farmers hope to also use it for cows.
Hasbro has launched a series of parody versions of its classic games just in time for the holidays. The names of the new versions will give you an idea of what they're about. For example, Clue, What Happened Last Night, Game of Life, Quarter Life Crisis, Mystery Date, Catfished, Sorry Not Sorry, and Botched Operation. The parody games are now available exclusively at Target stores and Target's website. Beer comes in different groupings.
Yeah, there's the six-pack, the case, but Anheuser-Busch is really going big with its Natural Light. For a limited time, it's offering a 77-pack. Yep, 77 cans of beer. Natural Light announced the new pack, which is hexagon-shaped, on Twitter, saying it's a, quote, nod to the year of our creation, 1977. For undisclosed reasons, it's only being offered in College Park, Maryland.
Do you need a forklift to bring it to your car? 77-pack.
In sports, the final piece of baseball's Final Four put into place tonight.
Plus, how a nasty-looking injury added to a nightmare of a day Sunday for Kevin King of the Packers.
And the other weapon in the Badgers' backfield that Michigan will try to stop on Saturday. Dan returns with Big 12 Sports. And as we go to break, here are tonight's winning lottery numbers.
Presented by Menards.
Home runs still do win these games, you know. And home runs, you know, still are a big part of these games. It's you don't have to put big rallies together if you can get a walk on a two-run homer.
And home runs could be a major factor in the National League Championship Series. The Dodgers and Brewers ranked 1 and 2 in the National League in home runs this season. 235 for L.A., 218 for Milwaukee. A home run was a factor in Game 4 of the ALDS in New York tonight. Red Sox catcher Christian Vazquez with the homer turned out to be the difference as the Sox hung on to beat the Yankees 4-3 to win the series 3-1. So Boston meets Houston in the ALCS. Packers cornerback Kevin King returned from a 2-game absence Sunday at Detroit, and it could not have gone much worse. King was burned in coverage several times, and the refs said he touched the Lions' first punt, which Detroit recovered at the 1-yard line. King steadfastly maintains the ball never hit him, and replays show it didn't. And to top it all off, he left with this lovely parting scar, thanks to Golden Tate stepping on his face.
He stepped on my face, like it's cleat, I cut right here, but the top lip up here is busted inside, and then the bottom lip is busted. But that's not an injury per se, you know. It's like just one of those things that happen in football, you know. It's one of those freak accident type things. That's where I went. They brought the cart in, drove me back, stitched it right up, and came back. If it was another drive, I would have been out there.
The Badgers play Michigan Saturday night here on WISN 12, and the Wolverines will have to stop a ground attack that rushed for over 370 yards against Nebraska. Jonathan Taylor had more than 220 yards, but Tywan Deal also had a big night with 74 yards on just 10 carries. The senior missed 22 games over the last 2 seasons due to injury, but he's healthy and a weapon now.
Yeah, it feels great, you know, when the offensive line is getting that great push and, you know, you see the holes and you just, you know, keep running until someone, you know, takes you down. We're all different runners, you know, we all show, you know, speed, strength, you know, vision. You know, we all have that, you know, and when we get the ball, we just try to make plays, and that's, you know, the biggest thing about all of us. You know, we're going to make plays.
And the latest Operation Football poll is exactly the same as last week's poll. I don't remember that happening before. Muskego's number 1, followed by Marquette, Franklin, Homestead, Brookfield Central, and Catholic Memorial. Several other teams are still unbeaten, including 7th-ranked Eisenhower. Greendale is 8th, followed by Slinger, Waterford, Racine, St. Catharines, and Lake Country Lutheran. And the Admirals win 4-3 at San Antonio tonight. So Carl Taylor starts out 2-0 as a coach. Both wins coming on the road in Texas.
Nice start.
Yeah.
All right. Final look at your forecast when we come back.
The WISN 12 News app. Stay safe in severe weather. Interactive radar, severe weather alerts, and Mark Baden's accurate forecast. The WISN 12 News app. Alerting you first and keeping you safe. Download right now. WISN 12 News and Marquette University Law School present a Commitment 2018 live event.
The candidates for Wisconsin Attorney General Brad Schimmel and Josh Kaul on the record in a live televised debate.
Sunday at 6 p.m. on WISN 12.
It's time for the Ross Fall Dress Event. Yeah. So you can find a party dress at a price. Yeah.